I now call to order the regular session meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs on Tuesday, April 26, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Vaticiotis?
Here.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Here.
Commissioner Carr?
Here.
Commissioner Eisner?
Here.
Commissioner Kulias, I'm sorry.
Here.
This evening's invocation will be given by Reverend Ted Morse of the Salvation Army. If we can all please stand, and then after the invocation, turn and pledge allegiance.
Let's pray. Our Father, we thank you for those in this room upon whom the mantle of leadership has been laid. We thank you for our mayor, the commissioners, first responders represented here, and those who meet the needs of our community every day. Father, we pray that this time tonight will be a productive time. We pray that you will be involved in the discussion and that your will be given and received by those here. Thank you for the community and for this beautiful city which you've provided. And we pray that your will be done. For it's in your holy and precious name we make this prayer this evening. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Morse. Before we get started, I have an announcement on two items that have been deferred. Item 23, Ordinance 2022-06, Application 21-133, Cypress Trails Preliminary Plan Development. That's been deferred to a time to be determined in the future. Also, item 24, Resolution 2022-09, Application 22-07, Conditional Use Alternative Dimensional Criteria, northwest corner of Lime Street and Gross Avenue. That's been deferred to May 10th, the regular session of May 10th, 2022. Also, you see a little different in the seating arrangement tonight. I just want to let everybody know that this is the traditional seating arrangement that's included in our rules of procedure. It's we go back to pre-COVID. I became a commissioner in 2020, and this is the first time I'm sitting at this configuration as well. So if you're wondering what the change is. Also, before we go to public comments, I'd like to say that that we're here tonight focused on the business of Tarpon Springs and bettering the community. I invite every resident who has a comment on how to improve Tarpon Springs or something that they feel needs to change to make their comment within their allotted time. I also recognize that some residents have interests that extend beyond the city limits, and if you feel you need to comment on those matters as well, please do so. Nevertheless, recognize our purpose here tonight and the time we have as well to complete that business. If you wish to discuss any of your comments further beyond your allotted time, your comments, we have placed a postcard in the lobby. It looks like this. It's got all the phone numbers of the city commissioners, their personal phone numbers, that you can reach them anytime, and also the phone numbers of every department head. That should accommodate you, at least to get you to the right person. Okay. So let's go to public comments. We will now go to public comments and on items that will not be discussed this evening. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. You will be given 4 minutes.
Good evening, members of the board. Anita Prose, 901 Bayshore Drive. I've had conversations with residents in the area next to the yacht club, and some of them have called down county. They're moving on Beckett Bridge. Have you received in the city any of the information of issues that have started running again on the Beckett Bridge? If so, please give a report at a commission meeting to be televised so the residents will know. They are working vigorously on this bridge, and I don't know whether you've received anything. The last time it was asked, you had not received any information. But residents that live around there and in the mobile park and around the road to Kestrel Powell Bridge, they have called down there and gotten information, and we need to know what they're doing. It's moving very fast. So have we received any information? I guess not.
I'll answer that after the public comments, Ms. Provost.
Okay, because that's very important to all of us in the schools.
I fully agree. Thank you.
Second thing is, I've been up here many times, as you know, and I've hit deaf ears, about a lifeguard at our municipal beach. These past 2 weekends, it's been packed. Children running between cars, people riding scooters, and they're drinking out there. Canned beer, bottles of beer, and I've seen individuals intoxicated. In fact, Easter weekend, there was an individual and they were trying to get him back into the car. He wouldn't go. He was at the playground urinating on himself. That's not something for children to see. We need to have a patrolman out there on the heavy holidays, and it's very dangerous to drive your car down the causeway and in between the cars, between the restroom and the water. And I'm telling you, I hope nothing happens, because the water scooters come by and people and children are playing in the water. Go out there and see. It is a dangerous place. And we have a beautiful municipal beach, a wonderful place to go, but I don't want the city to have any liability with tragedy. I've been here 9 times. Tonight is 9 times. The second thing is, it's getting hotter. People are going to Craig Park. Please, we need to do something to go under the big branches that go way down to the ground, because they're swinging on them, and yesterday one cracked. Those are historic trees. We're trying to keep them, but adults get on them and swing. Children swing up and down, and you know, they don't think anything about the trees. We need to do something, and we need like 5 signs around these trees saying, please do not swing or climb on the branches that are hitting the ground. Otherwise, we're going to lose our beautiful trees. The fourth thing is, years ago, I'm glad you did this. When I was mayor, that's how we sat. It was better than what has been here. But one thing I'd like to see brought back is our commissioners all wore the same jacket, and they had the city emblem. They wore blue, then they changed to green, and then they changed back to blue. They even considered a deep maroon. I would like our city elected officials and our city manager to have those jackets again. When you take your picture, it's very beautiful to see our elected officials all together like that, and it means something out in the county and the state when you go. They used to order them from Mr. Tarponi's department store when they had clothing there, or shorts in Clearwater. If the city don't want to buy them, I'm ready to sponsor someone, and I'll buy the city manager his, because I know where to go get big and tall. But anyway, something to think about, having all of y'all wearing a jacket for Tarpon Springs. Very professional looking, and we are a professional community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, please?
Hi, I'm Eli Garniku-Uskatagi. I live in 1482 Hillview Lane. She just reminded me that one actionable goal that's like it's something we can build towards and something we can imagine is, I was reading about some of the history here, like Tarpon Springs old timers, and apparently you used to be able to, during scalloping seasons, collect scallops from Sunset Beach. And if we could get the estuary healthy enough to where that could be like a thing where we can gather scallops from the beach instead of the Anclote River, where we are being somewhat of an area where scallops are found, it would just be a great goal to have, because it would be like bringing something back that's already happened. Another thing we could make a goal in terms of our water resources is designating like places like the bayou for manatees and other mammals, because it's really cool that dolphins and manatees go there. And if we have like great grass, seagrass, it would just be really nice if it was like there were manatees there. Just imagine a better future.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Shirley Gilliam. I'm calling to you tonight about the rate increase in golfing at the Tarpon Springs Golf Course. I'm in charge of a golf league that has up to 40 players. We play 3 times a week. We are all retirees. Our league is made up mostly of retired people. We have average 8 to 12 during this summer season. We go 30 to 40 each day during the winter season. At our tournament, we had 46. We play 3 times a week, Tuesday and Thursday here in Tarpon Springs, and we play on Saturday at Seven Springs Golf Course up in Pasco County. We were able to play all through the COVID-19 scare. We were always outside. No one got sick. We felt that golf saved many of us from sickness, boredom, and being alone. As you can see, much of our income goes to golf. We feel that the raise at this time was too high, and in fact, preventing some of our golfers from enjoying it at this time. We are considered a family. We have many people coming from Canada, and over half of our golf league come right here from Tarpon Springs. Usually this time of year, as the Canadians go back, the fees go down. But this time the fees were raised up $4 to $5 per individual. For my husband and myself, that means over $100 a week. Most of us, this is our only recreation. We have golfers that walk and those that have to ride. We have a golfer that is 94 years old and he still walks. So we would like you to reconsider either special golf league prices or to come down some on that. I have contacted other in the area to find their willingness to take our league if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live at 802 Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. Absolute bill of sale, full warranties of title, and release of county lien. Again, based on Pinellas County Resolution 95-286, Section 4C-2, it appears that the county has been sold to the Water District in a 30-year fee-simple title transfer as reflected in numerous Florida statutes as depicted. The county, in a quid pro quo agreement with the district, is electing to shapeshift itself from its fortnighted statehood, dissolving the county government, giving rise to politically laundered water jurisdictions, transferring county function and power as based in Home Rule Charter, Section 2.04Q, as recognized in the Interlocal Cooperation Act of 1969 and Statute 163.01, thus rebelliously usurping and privatizing city and municipal governments as based on the 14th Amendment. In such election of choice, the county ad valorem property tax lien as charged against the residents shall as well shapeshift and recommence as a non-ad valorem levy imposed despotically against the residents as enumerated from Article 1, Section 2, directly taxing the civilians themselves. The redistricting in Tallahassee again, as based on Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the U.S. Constitution, is not a district at all. A district not exceeding 10 miles square. That's an ill-defined jurisdiction within the Constitution, and we need to correct the definition of what's taking place within that ill-defined mechanism within the Constitution. Based on Statute 373.715, the Water District is intending on reconstituting itself as a watershed operation, and I feel as though we got set up from a long way out when it comes to giving rise to and basing the government on the 14th Amendment moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
And bringing up the rear. Good evening, Mayor and fellow commissioners. Robert Rockline, 755 North Lake Boulevard here in Tarpon Springs. I chose not to speak at the inaugural meeting last time, but congratulations to all the newly elected and your commitment, and in some cases recommitment, to public service. It's very admirable and very laudable. Let me start by saying it was so refreshing and so appreciated to view the commissioner work session and agenda at the live meeting last week. It was also great to hear Vice Mayor Lunt speak on encouragement for some mixed-use development to come forward in areas in need of revitalization. Commissioner Carr's priority for going forward to protect wetlands, preserving open space. These are all great goals. I'm sure you've seen them come out in the various plans and committees and such going forward with the comprehensive and the plans. The mayor's goal of meeting time management, great idea. Sometimes I've been to civic meetings and government meetings and you almost have to bring a pillow. But it's very important. You guys give a lot of time. We civically sometimes give a lot of time, whether it's research or reading or watching, and it's important both for our families and for our other endeavors in life. Commissioner Carr brought up a very good point about reading emails into the record. This has come up several times before in other jurisdictions. If you do it verbatim, we'll all be here quite some time, I think. But some other ways that it was dealt with by other jurisdictions were printing the name of the email sender and the subject area in the meeting agenda and putting that online. Some other boards have pre-read the communications, kind of tallied and noted the preponderance of community sentiment on sensitive issues or controversial proposals, and acknowledged that preponderance or sway on the record. And other boards just have staff members reply, or the commissioner itself reply, just acknowledging that the email was received and under consideration. So that's just some food for thought. I know to a great extent here I'm preaching to the choir about all of this. I know some of you, have this intent in mind. But even public comment, if a brief reply from a board member or the mayor brought up the postcards tonight, that's great. You just look for alternatives to kind of give you some relief and some release here at the public meetings, or assigning a staff member to get back to that person, or sometimes they back room, take their name and number and things like that. So this way there's something going forward. But it builds a bridge and helps you cross halfway and us cross halfway to kind of meet in the middle, and raising civic engagement is the most proactive thing you can do to prevent civic enragement, and that's what I saw starting to swell here. But the continuing outreach of the strategic plan, the comprehensive plan, and forging the city's sustainable future, that's the way to go. I've been involved with these charrettes and things in several jurisdictions over the decades. Gets everybody on the same page, establishes facts, dispels rumors, keeps everybody, on the forefront, and it kind of increases transparency and builds trust. So I know there was some mention of like roundtable discussions on things like quasi-judicial procedures and ex parte communications. Stuff like that is great, because even I was, I had to look up a lot of things and try to get a handle on what that was, because in Florida, government is different. But if those things were televised, or if there was some form of public participation, that's a great way to go to educate the public. And along the same line, I would certainly respectfully request the board to consider reestablishing the Citizens Academy that Tarpon Springs had. That's something unique. I've seen that in the police departments where we had ride-alongs and, days of taking people out on patrol and such. But in government, I never really saw that for anything but students. So for us older students, it would be something I would be very interested in attending. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Chris Roboski, 1602 Gulf Beach Boulevard, Tarpon Springs, 34689. I want to begin by publicly congratulating our new board. Thank you for running, thank you for winning, and thank you for your service. Since you put the dais back the way it was, I'd like to request that you put public speaking back the way it was. When I'm watching these meetings, I can't tell who it is that's speaking. If I didn't catch their name, I want to be able to identify who's speaking. And if we're going to reinstate the Zoom, it makes it a lot easier to know who was at the podium. And I mean, what is this? So, and these front rows, what's going on? Can we have that back? And since we're talking about that, and the previous gentleman mentioned the reading of emails, and I watched the last two meetings. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. Last year, when I was on my vacation, I actually got to call into the meeting from Panama City and attend via Zoom. That wasn't available this time. But I got to watch. So I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I know you got a lot of work to do to undo what the previous board has done. But you have to return to reading the emails into the record. And I have on good authority that that is going to happen. You can't have somebody sifting through and say, this one's so similar to this one, and then, heck, you'll just start throwing them in buckets and just say, oh, they're all the same. Can't do that. That's not how democracy works. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit inconvenient if you're doing things wrong. We're going to come up here and let you know. And that's all that was about. At one of the meetings, somebody said that was a tactic. The First Amendment is not a tactic. It's our constitutional right. And every single citizen has the right to be heard, whether their word is read from an email, Zoomed in, phoned in, or right here at the microphone, and hopefully right over there at the microphone. Yes, democracy can be a little bit inconvenient, a little clumsy. But when somebody else is in charge, you saw how that went. Everybody has to have a right to speak equally, whether you like it or not. Even if they get up here and say the same exact thing that the person before them said. That's where you start, fresh, back to the beginning, giving our rights back. That has to be done. And if it takes a while, then you guys must be doing something wrong, because you won't be getting hundreds of emails. That is not a tactic. You couldn't get people to do something like that unless they really cared. That's the only way you're going to get hundreds of emails. If people care enough to say it, write it down, send it. These are busy people. So no more talk of this, limiting our First Amendment right. Just give it all back and expand it. That's what we need. And the sooner the better. And yes, we do have experts looking into some of the other things that this previous board did, namely the Anclote Harbor, and maybe there are some ways that this board can actually do something about it and undo what they did. And we will know shortly. It'll either be that action or a judge sending it back here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter Lex, 514 Ashland Avenue. Good evening. I don't know if y'all had a chance to get the local beacon. They've thrown them out on a few yards today, but really nice article about our sustainability director, Robin, and how she's been going around to every event she can find to spread the word. Saturday, I had the opportunity to go to the library, and they were having an event there about sustainability. I met with her, and I also spoke with Shannon, our arborist, and we discussed her grant that she's working on for an urban tree management plan. I had told her, I had heard an interview on the radio that Tampa and St. Pete are working on this. They're using LiDAR, radar, and she said they had done some preliminary studies, but just to get to what my point is, a lot of these people that are your employees here do a lot of work behind the background that no one here sees till maybe something appears before you. Irene and Michelle running the elections, Bob Robertson, every damn project we throw at him and Paul. So, I mentioned it before, but we have a new board, and I'm going to mention it again. As much as I had disagreements with Ellen, one thing she did that I was really proud of and thought was great. You remember Mark, and I don't know if anybody else remembers, a couple of y'all, but we'd close down departments, rotate certain areas, like the police department, fire department, or public works, or the water, and you put on a big spread, you gave awards, you gave out gift cards or whatever. Your employees have been asked to do a lot over the last few years. And now that we're coming back to being full circle, I think it's time to reward some of these people who've gone sometimes above and beyond their duties to keep this city functioning and growing and being as efficient and productive as it has been over these last few years. I've heard a lot of comments during the campaign about how we love the employees, we respect them, they do a hard job. Now it's time to show them. You're a new board, set a new face. Now, there is a meeting tomorrow at Craig Park. I think it's 5 to 8 with regards to South Spring Boulevard, Whitcomb, MLK, the flooding, the roads, and all that stuff. So I'm mentioning it now because a lot of people don't watch till the end of the meeting when you make your comments. So tomorrow, starting at 5, I think till 8, Craig Park, big session, go there. As Ms. Protus mentioned, we need to have more of these, and it'd be nice, because I remember it was about 5 years ago when we had the meeting at the yacht club on the Beckett Bay, and basically, you're right, we haven't heard nothing since. So, those are my comments, and I hope we can see some action on some of those things. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Robertson, can you come forward, please? I'm going to just try and cut through some of these. You're going to be asked whether you have any new information on. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold off on that. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Trask.
Good evening. I'm Annie Dabbs. I reside at 803 South Distance Avenue. Oh, what is that? South Distance Avenue. First, I would like to extend my best wishes to this new board. Wishing you a distinguished productive, and a happy turn as you proceed in office this year. The gospel calls for us to give ourselves freely to serve others, but sometimes we resist. From the book of Exodus, I selected this verse, Exodus 17, chapter 12 verse. It says, when Moses' hand grew tired, as we all get tired sometime, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat down on it. His kin, Aaron and Hur, held his hand, one on one side, one on the other side. They held his hand steady until the sun set. We work long hours, yes, and we get tired. The hand of Moses became a symbol to the people. Through them, the power of God manifests itself. So what I am saying, let us put our hands together. When we do that, we can look for progress, preservation for the city of Tarpon Springs. Unlike Moses, we don't have a cedar open, but we can work for the progress and the preservation of Tarpon Springs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dabbs. Is there anyone else with a public comment? Okay, we're going to close the public comments. Mr. Robertson, do you have a quick update of anything new that you've learned with Beckett Bridge over the last month or two? Anything new that's come forward from the county?
Sure. I'm Bob Robertson, Project Administration Department Director. To answer your question, Mayor, I meet every couple weeks with the project manager for the bridge project for the county. The only thing I can share, the only update I have is that they are working on reaching out to affected parties, private properties, for temporary construction easements that they will need for the construction of the bridge and the roadway and drainage improvements that are associated with that project. That process has just begun. Okay, thank you. No problems that you've heard of or anything like that? None that I'm aware of, but I know that there are attorneys involved on all sides, so that, making it a formal process. But as far as problems, I haven't heard anything specifically. Thank you. Thanks, yes, sir. Mr. Robertson. On the scalloping, Mr. Eisner, do you scallop? Mr. Lunt?
What's that?
Do you scallop? The last I understood that scalloping was north of the Pasco County line. Is that still correct?
That's correct.
So with regard to scalloping at Sunset Beach, we're not allowed to do that anyway. It's anything on Pasco County line northward. You could bring scallops there if you get them in Pasco County, but you can't pick anything up from there. Ms. Jellum, City Manager, I'll be getting in touch with you concerning your letter today. I just wanted to mention that to you. Next week, we'll be having, I believe, the rules of procedure coming back. At least at this point, we're planning on doing that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and that'll include the Zoom or remote access. Citizens Academy, I believe, is planned for maybe fall. Is that correct? And the applications are online and they're being taken. So if you'd like to consider your Citizens Academy, please pull an application, fill that out. I think the detail on the podium, I'll speak to the city manager, but that's a detail that we missed. I thank you for bringing that attention to us as far as moving the public speaking from that location to here. I'll talk to the city manager about that. Well, that's all I have with regard to responses. And I'd like to move on to the consent agenda. We've got 10 items on that, and I'm just going to walk through these and any commissioner can pull any item off. Item 1, satisfaction and release of liens. Item 2, attorney's fees, Trask Degenhold invoice April 5, 2022. B, Johnson Jackson, invoice 9333. Number 3, special events. A, Athens by Night. B, 4th of July picnic in the park. C, 4th of July fireworks display. 4, reject bid number 22090, Pentair Fairbanks model vertical pump. Number 5, increase file number 220027, single source purchase of Chevrolet GM original equipment manufacturing parts and services. Number 6, award file 220113, single source purchase of CalFlow Lime system parts. Number 7, approve change order number 1 to bid 220086, pond mowing services. Number 8, increase file number request for proposal 210035, 4th of July fireworks display. Number 9, award file number 220096, tires and related services utilizing the Florida Sheriff's Association bid. Item 10, approved name change RFP number 210137, comprehensive plan update, comprehensive plan from Tyndale, Oliver and Associates to Alfred Benish and Company. Does any commissioner wish to pull any item?
Yes, I think I want to discuss the memo for the single source purchase of the Chevrolet GM parts.
Number 5.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
Mayor, I'd like to pull number 8.
8. Okay. Is that it? Okay. Any public comments concerning items 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10? No public comments. May I have a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 7, 9, and 10?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the commission concerning those items?
The only thing I want to share is I had a great conversation with Bob Robertson and Paul Smith. They did an amazing job, and I was very pleased that I got all my questions answered, and I don't have to have them redone here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
The 4th of July fireworks are on here. Number 3, that one's not pulled. I think it was number 8. Just something that I really love about Tarpon Springs is that we have a picnic, and then also the fireworks as a whole, as a community. It's a really great day to celebrate, so it's good to see them coming back this year.
Thank you. No other comments? Roll call, please, for items 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay, item 5, increase file 220027, single source purchase of Chevrolet original equipment. Are there any public comments on this item? I hear.
Fertilize 514 Ashland Avenue. It's not so much the item itself, but it's kind of related. In the paper that's coming out, there's an article about an accident that happened on 19. Some lady ran into a Tarpon Springs police cruiser. She passed. That was a 2021 Tahoe. I'm sure it's something we just recently bought. So I guess my question, and maybe the attorney's already addressed it with you, is do we have any recuperative powers, since we probably just bought that Tahoe, to file anything against the insurance company that would have been insuring her vehicle, so we can recover the costs and we're not at a loss, because that may be something we have to repair. I don't know if it was totaled, but it comes under repair and costs. So to me, it's kind of related. I just wanted to bring that forth so we could see how the commission would deal with something of that nature. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Delakis. Are there any other public comments? Hearing none, may I get a motion to increase the file and single source purchase Chevrolet GM original equipment manufacturer parts and services?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any commissioner comments? Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yeah. On the memo from Ms. Lewis, the amount that's specified is incorrect.
She mentions an increase of $35,000 or to $70,000, and then it's listed in the actual memo as an increase of $235,000. So there's just a typo here.
Yes, that was correct. I thought an email was sent to everybody, but that was found and that was corrected.
Oh, sorry.
I'll check now. Maybe it wasn't. I'll check because there were several. But yes, that was found and corrected.
Okay.
It is corrected.
On mine, it wasn't, so, sorry.
That's
Apologies.
That's a good catch, Vice Mayor Lunt. I think we're fine, Ms. Lewis. Is there any, does that affect the motion that we need to make on this at all?
No, because the corrected one is in your backup now and
Okay.
it was put in there.
Are there any other
yesterday
comments?
afternoon.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Item number 8, increase file number request for proposal 4th of July display. Are there any public comments on this item? Okay, I see none. May I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Commission comments. I think that was Commissioner Kulyas.
Thank you, Mayor. I was looking at the backup, and there's going to be a $5,000 increase for option B, which will be a 30-minute display. And for option A, will still be another $5,000 increase for a 20-minute display. And so the 25-minute or the 20-minute display will be $30,000 total, and the 30-minute display would be $39,000 total. So I was just seeing if this board would think about wanting to go with option A to save $9,000 for an additional 10 minutes. And I just wanted to throw that out there.
Is there, do you have anything to say on that?
Well, just I think this is going to be a big event, and we chose option B last year in a continuation. I know it says 30 minutes, but it's mostly the bang for the buck you get. I know there was some talk, and Commissioner Kulyas mentioned it was kind of long, the 30-minute, but it's really the bang for the amount of fireworks for 30 minutes. We can talk to them about doing it, but I really want to create a bang for 4th of July since it's the first one back, and that's why we had the option to keep it the same price but lose some of the firepower we had, and we just thought this year, as we've seen these special events open up, that everything is going to be huge with the public and stuff, and we wanted that extra amount of fireworks from the bigger display. If it's thought of the commission, the 30-minute was too long. I think it ran 20, I forget, some say it might have ran a little too long, but we can talk to the fire departments. The main thing about getting that bang and the amount of fireworks for the buck and stuff. So that's why we went with the same display we had last year with the increased price instead of keeping it the same and having less fireworks.
Which is 30 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. So I think that, I was assuming we were going to go with the 30 minutes, and I know you mentioned that you wanted the extra money for increasing the intensity of the fireworks display. So, but that doesn't affect the motion here, is that correct?
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other comments?
No comments.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Let's move on to the special consent agenda. Item number 11, receive Pent Street and Gross Avenue Stormwater Project update. Mr. Robertson. Okay, Mr. Robertson, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Bob Robertson, Project Administration Department Director. I'm here to provide an update on the Pent Gross Avenue Stormwater Project. At the March 8 BOC meeting, the board requested staff to come back to this meeting and provide this update. So to briefly summarize your backup memo, the contractor has abandoned this project, and staff has worked with the city attorney to file a claim against the contractor's bonding company. The bonding company has responded and is taking steps toward hiring a new contractor to complete the project. And one thing I want to note that I inadvertently omitted from the backup memo is that city staff has met with the Water Management District, the Southwest Florida Water Management District, or SWIFMUD. We've confirmed that our grant status is okay, and SWIFMUD will be working with us to extend the grant contract deadline once we get the new schedule worked out with the new contractor. It's what SWIFMUD calls a no-cost time extension, so we'll be able to handle that as soon as we get things settled with the new contractor. And with that, Mr. Mayor, is my brief summary.
Thank you. Does the public have any comments on this? I hear none. Now, is this going to be one of these we need a motion to accept because of the location? Some of these have asked questions of why we need a motion on something like this. If it's not acted on, then it goes all the way at the bottom of the agenda, and this is of importance. So we do this in this way, and then in order to correct it concerning our rules of procedure, we just have a motion to accept the presentation. So are there any commission comments concerning this item?
You want a motion to accept presentation?
Pardon me?
A motion to accept presentation.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Are there commission comments? Yes.
Bob, thank you for giving an update. Is there anything that can be done to help the dust on where it's all dust or limestone to prevent it from going to houses and cars and the temporary?
Yeah, since we found out the contractor was not going to come back, Public Works has been watering the road twice a day to try to keep dust under control.
Okay.
Early in the morning and later in the afternoon.
Great.
On days we don't get rain.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, we plan to do everything. We feel bad for our neighbors and all they've had to go through, so anything we can do to ease their pain while we go through this process, we're going to do for them. And any calls or any assistance they need, we try to get on it right away and try to accommodate as best we can because of the situation they're going through. So we're very cognizant of the neighborhood and what they've endured so far, and to try to make it at least a little better till we can get it done.
Okay. Any other comments? Yes, Commissioner Eisner.
So my two questions that I have is, who will be responsible for the damage to the homes? I think you said, is it an individual has to come forward and bring it up to the city?
Yes.
Okay. And the other question I have is, since our attorney has to handle over and above the call of duty, who handles his fees involved in this type of a suit? Would that be something that we would be going after whom?
Mr. Trask, could you address that?
Yeah, well, first of all, we would go after the contractor for any of the attorney's fees if we had to file suit against the contractor. We are concerned, though, about collectability, though. We could get a judgment and not collect it, and it looks like this contractor has folded up his tent not only here, but across the state of Florida. So we're very concerned about whether or not there's going to be a bankruptcy filing, whether there's going to be any recovery. At this point, the surety is in place. We think that the attorney's fees will be minimal. Although we're involved right now, it isn't like we're going to be filing a lawsuit. I think that with the surety stepping in and bringing in a new contractor, we'll get the job done. We'll just be in the background watching it all happen, and if we're needed, we'll be called upon. And Mr. Robertson has been dealing with Rob Eschenfelder of our office on a very regular basis. So he's the procurement specialist that we have at the firm. So he is the one that is keeping his eyes on the project too. But as for attorney's fees, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to collect them. But if we were going to go after them, it would be against the contractor.
But even if the contractor does go belly up, as you say, and he's pulled back, he would have an insurance company behind him, correct?
So they have the bonding company behind them right now for this project. But as for a default on a contract, more than likely there's no insurance coverage for that because that was done purposely. They have decided not to fulfill their obligations to the contract. It's not like a tort, like a car accident or someone was injured on the project where they'd have commercial liability or some form of liability that would cover that. On a breach of contract, I'm not aware of any insurance policy that will cover that.
And what about the liability of any problems they've done to the homes that have been on the block?
So that would be the same thing. We would process those claims as they came in. First of all, more than likely our carrier would be covering them, and then they would seek reimbursement from the contractor that created the damage.
Okay. I just wanted the public to know, just in case there is issues out there, because I know there are a couple of homes that have issues, and they've confronted me on it, so I'm glad you said that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other commission comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Item number 12, authorized purchase of utility easement at 350 North Spring Boulevard, Beckett Bridge Project, Yacht Club property. Are there any public comments on this? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Are there any commission comments? I should ask, Mr. Robertson, do you want to add the purpose of this easement? I think.
Sure.
I know what it's for, but please
Yes, sir, I
state
can do
that for
that.
the public. Yes.
I can do that briefly, sure. We're asking the board's approval to purchase a utility easement for the installation of city-owned water and sewer pipes. These pipes are currently installed in the existing Beckett Bridge right-of-way, and they must be relocated to accommodate the new bridge construction. Essentially, we have to install new pipes. Those new pipes would need to cross the bayou and would be installed deep below the bottom of the bayou using directional drilling methods. The easement that we're asking you to approve tonight would allow us to install the new pipes outside of the bridge right-of-way. The appraised value of the easement is $67,000, which is the purchase price offer that was accepted by the owner, and this would be funded by water and sewer funds.
Thank you. Are there any comments in response to Mr. Robertson? Okay. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Item 13, Tarpon Avenue roadway improvements. That will start with you, Mr. Robertson. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, this is a two-parter with an A and a B. Would you like me to address both in my summary here?
Yes, please.
Okay, so for the item A, staff is requesting approval from the board for the mayor to execute an agreement that would provide an additional $119,748 of grant funding through the FDOT for the Tarpon Avenue roadway improvements project. That increases the total grant amount up to $814,830. We recently received construction bids for the project, and the lowest construction bid is $1.37 million. That leaves $556,000 to be funded by the Penny Fund. That's the summary of item A. Moving to item B, staff is requesting to award that contract, that's bid number 220048, to Kaminga and Roadvoots, which is the contractor that successfully completed the Mango Street project recently for us. They've also been vetted and approved by DOT, since this is a DOT-funded project. The contractor will be given 240 days, 8 months, to substantially complete the work, with final completion required by April 2023. Funding, as stated, will be provided, as previously discussed, $850K from DOT and $556K from city penny funds. That's it for me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on either A or B, please? Hearing none, I'd like to have a motion on A only.
So moved to approve.
I'll second.
Are there any commission comments concerning item A? Yes.
Just a couple quick comments. Great news. Great job on the city staff side. $814,000 with an additional $119,000 in grant. I'm sure that's a great thing to celebrate. So thank you for your help with that and seeing that one through, city manager and staff.
Thank you.
Really looking forward to this. It's ironic that we've gotten a few emails about this intersection here this past week, but it was great to say, hey, look, we've got this on the schedule here. We're approving it tonight, or reviewing it tonight for approval. And this is a long time coming. It's going to bring, I think, a much safer intersection and flow of traffic to this area. So thank you for the work. I know it's been years in the making, Bob, and you put a lot of work behind this, and city manager. So I just want to say thank you for that, and I'm looking forward to the groundbreaking on this one and seeing it completed timely. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, and I hate being this guy, but unless it's been corrected, there's a mistake on page 22 in the conflicts affidavit. It mentions the city of Oldsmar rather than the city of Tarpon Springs.
That's item B you're talking about, right?
Item B, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
item B.
We'll get that corrected.
We'll get that corrected.
All right. Ms. Lewis, or
That's item B. Do you want me to speak on that? or do you want to wait?
We can correct it, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we can, we'll have to correct it and then have to send it back. FDOT, the lab coordinator will have to ensure that it's still good. Thank you.
That's fine, I just wanted to bring it to your
Thank
attention.
you.
Okay. Are there any other comments?
Are we discussing A or B now?
A.
I would have to agree with Commissioner Carr's comments. It was just great. I read this, and it was just, I couldn't wait for this to happen, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Kaminga Rudvitz was the first contractor I ever had experience with as city manager, large project. They did Live Oak Street for us, a huge project. If nothing's changed, we're going to have an excellent project with them. So, and I'm glad after 25 years, they're still here, so that's good. Vice Mayor Lunt, the item that you brought up was for actually item B, is that
Yeah, I'm
correct?
sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure we didn't need to amend the motion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. On item B, may I have a motion on that, please?
Approve with correction of updating form on page 22 to the City of Tarpon Springs from the City of Oldsmar.
And
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Second.
Yes.
Are there any commission comments on that?
Just want to say good catch by the Vice Mayor.
It was.
Okay.
I
read them.
Usually an audit team.
All right, no other comments. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. We've got 4 minutes until we have to go to the public meeting concerning resolutions and ordinances. Let's see if we can get item 14 in. Award bid number 22, Roosevelt Boulevard seawall. Mr. Robertson.
Yes, sir. My brief summary, this is to ask you to award contract 220102 to Midcoast Construction Enterprises for the replacement of the seawall at the end of Roosevelt Boulevard on the sponge docks. This is the third city seawall replacement project on the sponge docks in as many years, including the seawall cap repairs at the city marina. The bid came in at $202,540, which is under the project budget. This is a contractor we've successfully worked with before. They were the contractor that did that work at the city marina. Contract schedule is 120 days from notice to proceed, which puts final completion somewhere around October or November of this year. That's my summary, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on this item? Hearing none. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any commission comments concerning this? Commissioner Carr.
Yeah, just a couple quick comments. This is an area that the business owners have really asked for help for many years. So I'm happy to see that the city moving forward with this one. I know it's kind of been in the line of the things to get done. So it's also good to see those seawalls being updated and upgraded along the sponge docks. A couple things I want to point out is there's been if you combine the last item and this item, we have 3 different Tarpon Springs companies that have bid, and this is a Tarpon Springs company also. I believe that's on the other side of the sponge docks that won the bid. So that's great news for the local businesses. It's great to see our local tax dollars staying local by supporting local businesses while they're winning the bids too. So thank you.
Thank you.
I had one other. I did have a conversation with Bob Robertson about this because you see a bid of $202,000 and you see a bid of $498,000, and you have to scratch your head a little bit and say, what are you putting in this wall? Is this a prayer wall? But I mean, he was able to explain to me why we're going with this bid. But I always ask when I see a bid like that, what are you doing that the other isn't? And what is this one doing that the other one is? So, but I pretty much liked your answers, and I was very confident in your decision-making, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
7:29. We're just going to wait till it clicks to 7:30, and we'll continue on.
Let's go ahead.
All right.
A couple of seconds, this isn't going to matter.
Let's get moving then. Moving on to ordinances and resolutions, item 20, resolution 2022, authorized signatories. And Mr. Trask, I believe we ask you to read it by title.
Yes, Mayor. This is Resolution 2022-07, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs, Florida, designating certain officials as authorized signatories on negotiable instruments of the City of Tarpon Springs. That was the reading of Resolution 2022-07 by title only.
Does staff have any comments on this?
No.
Okay. We have no one, public comments on this item. Are there any public comments? We have none. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Move to approval.
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any commission comments?
So I said I fully support this. You guys are doing a great job with this.
Thanks. All right. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lund?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay, there's two parts to number 21, award, file, and approve master lease agreement for a rescue pumper fire engine. And we're going to take the one at a time. Item A is not a resolution. It's just an agreement, actually an action item on the part of the commission. And item B is a resolution. So, Chief Young.
Good evening, Scott Young, Fire Chief. We bring forward to you an agreement to purchase a new fire engine. The one that is replacing is seeing some years on it. It's a 2011. Part of our replacement plan is to replace fire engines anywhere between 10 and 15 years. We bring this to you now. We are finding that the manufacturers are about 2 years now to build these trucks, where it used to be 8 months to a year. There, because of the times, it's taking much longer to build. So we wanted to bring it to you now so we can get it on the docket for them to start putting it in line to be built. Also, with the interest rates being where they are today and expected to increase, and the price increases that they're incurring on these new units, we bring it forward to you today for approval. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any public comments concerning this item? Hearing none, may I have a motion to award file 220118, one Pierce Impel Rescue Pumper Fire Engine?
Motion approved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any commission comments? Commissioner Carr.
Thank you, Mayor. City Manager, maybe you could share just a small, quick history of why we're not buying it lump sum versus financing it. I know this is something that we did maybe the last fire truck or the fire truck before, where we took advantage of the interest rates, and instead of using all of our funds in one budget season on a fire truck, we could do other things.
And Ron, come up and help me with your technical, what you do. When we look at this thing, obviously to purchase it for the whole sum, that's going to occupy $1 million of your probably penny of Pinellas and put back some other projects. So as we did last time, our capable finance director does an analysis of all different options of the options to purchase. What would be the best option? The last time we came up and got approved, again, spreading it out, spreading the fire truck out over years so the one lump sum didn't put back. There's a lot of projects we need to do, even with ARPA money, and with that, we got a lot of projects we need to do. We would put some back. And it's a weighing process of that he goes through to analyze that. So just real briefly, because I know it's real intense what you do, the analysis of this and how you came up with this is the best solution for the sake of other projects and for this particular early buy into the fire engine.
Well, Ron Herring, Finance Director, you basically sort of went through it there. There's a lot of demands on the penny fund every year. And if we were going to buy this truck right now, we got $900,000, coming out of the penny fund. So what we've been trying to do, since the interest rates have been favorable, we've been doing these 5-year leases, which we thought works out good. What we've been trying to do, we are doing, is keeping the total fire truck placements between the other. We've got one lease currently. We've got another one of trucks coming in August or September. And then we've got this one. So what we're trying to do is keep the lease payments for all three of them, which will be three, two mostly ongoing, because we're trying not to have any three overlapping. So we're keeping them under $400,000. We're right around $370,000 worth of lease payments a year on that. You know, and I guess like what Scott said, we had some backup in the slides there, but, you know, but it just seemed like when Scott and I talked about this, we go, it's taken 2 years now to build the trucks. I know interest rates are going up. In fact, they already have. I went back and forth with them. They're really up at a 3.43. We got them down in the low, almost 3% for the interest rate here. So it's a good time for it. We project if we wait another month, it's going to go up 7.5%. That cost is going to increase $67,000 if we wait until May. And I guess from what Scott's saying, there's going to be quarterly increases of the way the economy is right now. We just thought it's a good time between taking 2 years to get it. You know, the cost going up, the interest rates going up. Let's go ahead and get this truck now. It's like 1 year ahead of time, but now it's taken 2 years to get this truck.
Thank you, Mr. Herring. Okay. Are there any, Commissioner Carr?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So it really just gives the board more flexibility as well, too, to do more projects. So I appreciate the creativity from the staff's end to be able to do that. One of the things I brought up in the past, and I would like staff to look at some point, is evaluating the majority of the calls are, and I know I've talked to the chief about this in the past too, are paramedic calls, and they're not necessarily fire calls. And I believe there's been some type of studies being done to say, can we use a Suburban instead of a fire truck for every call as an opportunity to stop putting as much wear and tear on the vehicles of $1 million+ vehicle, right? So that's something I'd like to at least look into further here in the near future if we could do something similar.
We are doing that now. When I have staffing available, we put them in a Suburban to run 2 units out of that station to help alleviate the wear and tear on that truck. Station 69 at the Public Safety Building is the busiest station. I have a meeting tomorrow with the county, actually, to try to have them fund 3 additional paramedics and provide us a rescue unit funded by the county. Don't know if I'll be successful. I've been trying for a couple of years. So we're working on that angle. There's some resolution issues that we have to try to meet, and we're close. So we are trying to do that now as much as we can based on staffing, but with sick time and stuff like that happening, it's in and out. So it would help.
Okay. Is there anything that we as a board can do by reaching out to the county administrator or other county commissioners to assist?
You can always reach out to county administrators or the commissioners, but I do have a meeting tomorrow, and I'm optimistically hoping that something will happen with it. So our numbers, we have to have an average of 10 calls per day out of that station to meet the county's resolution. Once you hit that, they have to give you the unit.
Okay.
We are running at 9 calls right now.
Mm-hmm.
If that's last year's data, they go from a year's data. Right today, we are running an average of 12 because we are way ahead on our call volume right now. So if that trend continues next year, we would definitely be within that thing. We do have a grant out right now, waiting the SAFER grant. We should hear in September. We put in for 3 people for that. So either we get the county, or if they say no, hopefully we get the SAFER grant. We'll bring those 3 people on, and we can put that in service that way. So we're working on it on a couple different angles right now.
Great. Thank you for the details, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other, Commissioner Eisner?
When you speak about a truck like this on wear and tear, it still has to be used. If you don't use it, you lose it as well, correct? I mean, these are not high mileage vehicles at the end of its life.
No, these trucks are run hard. They're starting and stopping the engines, running out on calls. The streets are rough. It's a small and hard town to get through. So they take a beating. They really do. So the average is 10 years on the front line. We try to keep them in service as a frontline unit, and then we try to keep them 5 years as a reserve unit. So right now we keep 2 units in reserve at all times. That way we have something to go into because of the maintenance that's required on these and mechanical breakdowns, so we have something to go into if we need to. So we always have something.
But what I was trying to get at is it's important to use these vehicles. If you just leave them sit, they're like a boat.
They'll break down. Right. But the way the rotational maintenance, they're never sitting. They're always something is moving.
But I'm for this, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments on item A?
Yeah, I just
Oh.
wanted to, to thank you for the time, consideration, and forethought, both the fire department and finance that you put into this. I thought it was an excellent plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to say is that, you know, one thing, there's an advantage of being mayor, especially when you're in the office all the time. You see people walking up and down the halls coming through the office. So I have conversations and pretty much keep tabs on everything that's going on. And I know the city manager's got an ear to the wall as well, listening in. So I very much appreciate everything that y'all are doing. And Mr. Herring, I know you're always trying to squeeze a nickel out of our budget, so I appreciate that as well. If there are no other commission comments, I'd like to go to roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Mr. Trask, could you read Resolution 2022-14, Master Lease?
Yes, Mayor. This is resolution number 2022-14, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs, Florida, declaring its intent to enter into a master lease purchase agreement with PNC Equipment Finance, LLC, and associated agreements, authorizing the city manager to execute said agreements, setting the aggregate principal amount of the leases, subjecting the payment of the leases to annual appropriation, confirming that the city does not anticipate to issue more than $10 million of tax-exempt obligations during the current calendar year, and providing for an effective date. That was a reading of Resolution 2022-14 by title only.
Thank you. Fire Chief Young, do you have anything more to add on that?
No, sir, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public comments concerning this item? I hear none. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Motion approved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any commission comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Definitely yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay, let's move on to the ordinances. Item number 22. Mr. Trask, please, would you read that?
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance 2022-07, an ordinance of the City of Tarpon Springs, Florida, amending Section 8-12 of the Code of Ordinances by adding the definition of administrator, advertising, agreement, applicable law, biomedical waste, bulky waste, and contractor thereto. Amending Section 8-16B2B to provide that tied bundles, garbage bags, or cans of yard waste should not exceed 75 pounds. Amending Section 8-18 to provide for collection fee increases as of March 31st of each year. To provide for the change in rates for fuel and oil to be calculated from December of the preceding year to December of the current year. To provide that a single CPI adjustment to rates shall not exceed 3%, and there shall be no catch-up adjustment to rates for future years. To provide for solid waste collection, recycling and yard waste collection, dumpster, compactor, and roll-off charges. To replace the term roll-off compaction containers with roll-off compactor containers. To delete the tipping fee charged by Pinellas County. To delete charges for receiver container rentals when customers own a compactor. To delete the 10-yard pull charge for roll-off containers. To add a charge for commercial account totes and delete charges for multifamily and commercial customers served by totes. To provide for a $1,300 deposit for roll-off containers. Amending Section 8-21 to provide that debris and trash from ordinary trimming, care, and upkeep of yards be placed in bags or lightweight containers not to exceed 75 pounds, and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was the first reading of ordinance 2022-07 by title only. There will be a second reading on May 10th, 2022, and this will be published in the Tampa Bay Times by title only on April 27th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Trask. City Manager, of course.
I don't have anything to add. I know Janina's here. She walked into her job as director with a sanitation contract, which we worked rather long on. So do you have any questions on the very hard work that she put in her first big assignment as procurement director? She's here to answer any questions if you want to come up in case they have any questions.
Christina Lewis, Procurement Services Director. Good evening.
We're working the lights here, so you've got a little button in front of you. Push it if you want to speak. Commissioner Carr is good at it because he's an old hand, so Commissioner Carr.
Thank you for the compliment. My question is to the city manager around a couple things that were discussed at the time when this was accepted by the board. The first one is the 20% fee, and I know we had an email on that where you acknowledged it. I believe it's an administrative fee that's going to be adjusted around budget season. So as the cost of the waste management contract goes up, we're not necessarily going to be increasing at 20%. I'm sorry, the fee's not necessarily going to stay at 20%. It's going to be adjusted to be more realistic of what the actual cost is for administrative fees.
Yes, the direction of the board was to bring that during the budget time, and that will be coming to you at budget.
Okay. And then the second part was there was discussions, or the board at the time talked to Waste Management about sponsoring some decorations around Christmas time, maybe something on 4th of July and something with cops and kids. Is that something you're in discussions with Waste Management with?
4th of July is the same. They have committed to do something Christmas. They haven't quite committed the amount yet. We're still working on that phase, and that's the only two we've got to do so far. But they have confirmed their commitment as usual with 4th of July. They have confirmed that they will make a contribution to add the decorations during Christmas, and then we'll work on something for the cops and kids and stuff. That'll be the next thing we'll work on.
Okay, thank you.
Before we go further with commission comments, I'd like to ask the public if anyone here has any comments. I also want to add that this contract simply reflects what the bids were, so there's no surprises there, and that's why I don't think there was a whole lot of conversation with the staff. Are there any public comments on this item?
David Ballard Geddes Jr., 802 Georgia Avenue, Palm Harbor. In light of individual household cost increases, is there a possibility that neighborhoods could get together and, instead of having door-to-door garbage pickup, opt out of the door-to-door garbage pickup in light of a neighborhood collection bin, whereas you'd have recycling bins for the entire neighborhood as a cost-saving measure, whereas the garbage collection would come in and just pick up, 2 or 3 large containers instead of door-to-door pickup. I think that would be a way to save money and also promote recycling at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Geddes. On that thought, we'd have to pick it up in 5 years from now. It's curbside pickup, and that's what our residents are expecting. But thank you for your observation. Are there any other public comments? Okay. May I have a motion to approve ordinance? I'm sorry, we have a motion, or we don't have a motion?
I don't think, no, we don't have a
Okay, let's have a motion to approve ordinance 2022-07.
motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, now let's get back to commissioner comments. Commissioner Carr, anything else?
Yeah, those are the two things I wanted to address. Thank you.
Okay, any other commission?
Yes, I just want to say that I'm glad that we are going to maintain a relationship with Waste Management, and that would be the way I would want to go. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that they're here as well. Is there anyone else? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. All right, we're going to go back to the agenda and pick up with the board appointments. Some of these, there's 5 of them, I believe, and I'm going to walk through these. But before we get started, I want to go to read our rules of procedure. Actually, it's in the administrative section, chapter 2 of appointments to advisory and quasi-judicial boards. It's item H. Each member of the Board of Commissioners shall be entitled to submit one name for each vacancy on any particular appointed board of the city. Each commissioner shall be entitled to one vote. In the event that any person fails to obtain a majority of the votes cast, a runoff between the top two candidates shall be immediately held. This is simple enough, but I can assure you that the appointments that we have are a little more convoluted than that. Let me see if I can find my material on this thing. Here we go. Okay, the first one is item 15, appointment of the Planning and Zoning Board. We have a board action to, it's either vote on number, or actually agree to either number 1 or 2 first. What I'm going to do is do the nominations, and then we'll do a motion to appoint that individual or individuals to the board, try and keep it clean that way. So we've got 2 choices. One, to move the current alternate member, Mr. Andrew Otis, to fill the unexpired term of Mr. Morgan. That's one choice, and then we would appoint an alternate in his place. Or number 2, Mr. Andrew Otis would remain as an alternate and pick someone else from the list below, either Ms. Howard or Mr. Embellis, to be a regular member of the board. So let me just start by seniority. Vice Mayor Lunt, do you have a preference between the 2 approaches?
My preference would be Nicholas Embellis.
So we would be number 2. Mr. Andrew Otis would remain as an alternate, and then Mr. Embellis would be a permanent member. Okay. Commissioner Carr.
I would suggest number 1 with Nicholas Embellis becoming the alternate member and moving the current alternate member, George Andrew Otis, to permanent.
Okay, let's go to Commissioner Eisner.
Nicholas Embellis to number 2. So I would make him a permanent.
Okay, Commissioner Kulyas.
Board action number 2, and to appoint Nicholas Embellis as permanent.
Okay. I would agree number 2. That seems to be, so that would be 4-1 to appoint Mr. Embellis. So Mr. Embellis is our appointment, and now I'd like to ask the public whether they have any comments concerning that matter.
Good evening, Jackie Turner, 792 Chesapeake Drive. I first wanted to start and say congratulations to all of our newly elected commissioners and mayor. Wishing you all the best in serving our city and thanking you for taking on this job. My comments actually could be addressed in the matter of efficiency for items number 15 through 19. We are fortunate to have number of applicants and alternates for the various boards that are presented before you. As some of you may know, I serve on the Board of Adjustments and have for several years. And we've been fortunate to have a lot of committed and capable alternates come through our time, as you know, Commissioner Eisner would know, is formerly serving on the board as well. And the great thing about the system of having those alternates is it's a great training opportunity to learn the intricacies of what it means to be on that board, how the rules and the procedures and the business at hand is conducted. So that way, when there is the instance where you do have a vacancy and you move an alternate into that permanent position, they're ready and well equipped to start from day one. On the Board of Adjustments, we did have an instance in the past where we had a vacancy, we had an alternate. However, the Board of Commissioners elected to have a newly appointed person come in that permanent seat. It did not work well. It could have been a one-off situation, to be perfectly honest, but they did not benefit from that training period. So I would hate to see other boards put through that situation. And if I may, of particular concern that I have is with our Public Arts Committee. We have Robert Stackhouse, who we are blessed to have as a citizen who is actively engaged in our community. He is an internationally regarded artist of the highest caliber, and he is an alternate. He was passed over once before for a permanent position, graciously was kind enough to stay as an alternate. I would hate to see what would happen if we then passed up an alternate of someone of Mr. Stackhouse's caliber to be a permanent position on our Public Arts Committee. Quite frankly, if we did that, it would be an embarrassment for our city. So just take, if you will, these thoughts as someone who's served on a board for several years, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor. My name is John Koulianis. I reside at 1020 Peninsula Avenue. I agree in principle of alternates moving up, but Embellis is an exception. If you went to a lab and you wanted to create a person who was ideal to be on the board, the Planning and Zoning Board, you would invent Embellis. Nick was worked for the DOT for, I don't know how many years, but 15, 20 years. He was also an engineering consultant that worked on roads. He is a professional engineer. He knows right-of-ways, he knows easements, he knows utilities. He would be an exceptional member. I'm on the P&Z, and it would be great to have somebody of Nick's quality on the P&Z. And I think the world of George Andriotis, so it's hard to do that, but this guy's an exception. So.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Chris Roboski, 1602 Gulf Beach Boulevard, Tarpon Springs, 34689. This is a decent opportunity to bring up a few things. So now that we do have a new board, some of you are aware, some of you are not aware, that our board intended to have a workshop meeting with the Board of Commissioners, and that did not go well. We were first denied that ability by our attorney, and we had to push for it, and suffice it to say, it didn't go well. Now, I understand that the Planning and Zoning is going to have a workshop meeting with the Board of Commission. That sounds like a great idea, because you need to give them power. You need to give the Planning and Zoning the ability to veto some of these projects so you don't have to get tied up in here with those projects. If they see fit that that project's it's not for Tarpon, then you don't even have to be bothered with it. So I think that needs to be looked at, and I think that we need to revisit our Board of Adjustment and the meeting that we tried to have and do it over so that we can address the criteria and how they are met in order to get variances for our board. And whatever it is, whatever mechanism needs to be changed to allow a board, all of these volunteer boards, to have them address the commission as a board instead of individually. That's what we're told to do. Say your board can't talk as a board about anything other than what you're voting on, and you darn sure can't talk to the commission about it as a whole. It's ridiculous. So whatever that is, whatever that problem is, that loophole needs to be closed, needs to be fixed, so that a board can communicate about what's going on under their watch to you as a board. I'm sure you can find a way to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roboski. We're definitely going to be working on all of these things that people are saying. Ms. Protos.
Anita Crows, 901 Bayshore Drive. Caution. Caution of sunshine law. You can easily step over the line with having back and forth conversations with your boards. Your boards are supposed to stay independent from this board. Now, if the state has done away with sunshine law, I'm not aware of it. But be very cautious. You can run into a lot of trouble. We had it here years ago when Tom Koulianis was mayor of the city. We almost lost our charter. Let's not forget that. Everything that happened, that was a very hard 2 years. Be very cautious of what you're doing here and stay independent from your boards and your commission. Now, whether the attorney will agree with me, I don't know. But when you start working together, citizens don't have a chance. Remember that.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? The approach I'm taking, again, is to pin down the nominations. We've got the process for appointing the board is very simple, but when you've got some convoluted choices that you've got to, in my opinion, do the nominations first, then we have a motion to appoint the individual that we've selected out of the nomination. So in this particular case, we have a nominee of Mr. Nick Embellis. So I would like to have a motion to appoint him as a regular member of the Planning and Zoning Board.
Motion to appoint Nicholas Embellis to fill the unexpired term of Richard Morgan, regular member.
I'll second.
Okay, are there any commission comments?
I mean, short and sweet. I just would like to say that I agree with Ms. Turner's statement of what she made, that in a lot of cases, an alternate should be moved up, but there are extenuating circumstances where if you're making a choice that somebody's possibly a better choice, you can make that choice. So in most cases, I would agree, but in this particular case, I don't.
Okay.
Mayor?
Are there any other commission comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that even though the alternates are already on the board and they can be reappointed to a regular member position, their original applications aren't in the backup material for us to look at, and to me, that would make a difference in priority and past experience as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If we could get their applications into the record as alternates when making a decision too.
Hang on, Commissioner Eisner.
I just was going to ask for clarification. Do you want them to fill out a new application or when they first submitted it to the board? Because it could be several years old.
I would say probably the first one submitted, just so we could see what they currently had when they applied originally.
Okay. Commissioner Eisner, Commissioner Carr beat you to the punch again with the light.
Well, he's got his finger on that, none.
He does. Go ahead, Commissioner
It's like a
Carr.
Wheel of Fortune. City Clerk, if we could also, sitting on the board for about 7 years before I was elected city commissioner, one of the issues we ran into on one of the boards was absenteeism. And having some type of record to be able to see, I know it's an additional step, but it would help me as a board member to see if individuals are showing up or not showing up. I appreciate volunteers. I don't expect everybody to be there every meeting, but it'd be nice for them to do that because there's business that needs to be done. So being able to have that record would be helpful as well too, making the decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Eisner.
He just stole my question, so, very good, thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. The next appointment is for the Heritage Preservation Board. In this one, we have to vote on number 1, and this would be to, if the board is willing to make a motion on reappointing Mr. Sprecher and Ms. Ryan for a new term.
Motion to reappoint William Spector and Michelle Ryan.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Okay. Is there any public comments on that? Are there any commission comments? This is just a matter of two people who've done a nice job to be reappointed. They want to be reappointed for a second term. No lights are on either, so hearing none, no public comments. Roll call, please, on that particular item.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay, now the next part is to, there's two parts to this, to do either one or the other. One is to move the current alternate, Mr. Rosinski, to fill the term of Ms. Milford. And appoint.
Did you pass the Public Art Committee, or are we reading the Public Art Committee? Is that
That's
where we're-
next.
Okay,
I
I'm
believe
sorry.
that's next.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed.
We have to do, that's what I'm saying, it's a little convoluted, so please be patient.
Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. And then we would appoint someone from the list below to fill the expired term of Mr. Rosinski, or the second approach would be to appoint someone from the list below as a regular member, and Mr. Rosinski would remain as an alternate. Is there a preference to, let me just go down the list on this one, Vice Mayor Lunt.
No. I would actually like to promote number 2. I think move the current alternative, Philip Moronsky, to fill the term of Laura Milford, and appoint Rita Kaplan to fill the term of
Ms. Kaplan.
Philip. Is going to be
Okay.
exercising.
Commissioner Carr.
I would support Philip. I would put Jennifer. I think Rita's got a great option for the Public Art Committee with her history.
That would be Ms. Bracy.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Eisner.
I'm going to follow what the vice mayor just appointed.
Okay. Mr. Kulyas? Commissioner Kulyas?
I'm going to agree to number 2, and then appoint Rita Kaplan as alternate.
Okay. That would be Ms. Kaplan? Okay. All right, and I would go with that as well, just because Ms. Kaplan has a heritage preservation as her first choice on that. So basically, we've got the nomination of moving Mr. Rosinski up to the full-time term, a regular member, and also appointing Ms. Kaplan as an alternate to fill the expired term of Mr. Rosinski. Are there any comments on this item? I hear none. May I have a motion, please, to...
So moved.
So moved, okay. Second? Any seconds?
I'll second.
Okay. Are there any commission comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. The next item is for the Public Art Committee. We've got 3 choices here. One is to move Mr. Stackhouse, who's alternate number 1, to fill the vacancy of the unexpired term of Ms. Gregory. B, it would be to move Ms. Hennessy, alternate number 2, to fill the vacancy, or C, select from the list below, which there's 5 candidates there. Let me just go down the list again by seniority. Vice Mayor Lunt.
Excuse me. I'm actually going to move for C. Graham Jones, from the list below, I guess, for the public art thing. I know he's not your standard run-of-the-mill type of artist, but I think we need to actually widen our scope a bit and put somebody with visual and performing arts into our public arts repertoire.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Carr.
I would move to move Robert Stackhouse from alternate to fill the unexpired term of Patricia Gregory. And then do I need to select an alternative or an alternate as well then? Suppose. Then, just give me 1 second here. You guys took away my person I had set up for the alternate with the historic preservation.
Public art.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm happy to support Graham Jones as an alternate for this one.
Okay, Commissioner Eisner.
I'm going to go with C and make it Graham Jones as my appointed person.
Okay. Commissioner Couillard.
I'm going to agree to C and move Graham Jones to the regular member.
Okay. It's 3-1. I'll agree with that last one, item C. Okay, do we have any public comments on this item? Hearing none, we have a motion to appoint Graham Jones as the member of the Public Art Committee, regular member of the Public Art Committee, and the 2 alternates would remain as they are.
So moved.
Second.
Second, thank you. Are there any commission comments on this? Vice Mayor, I'm sorry, Commissioner Carr, your light's on. There
Thank
go.
you. I do think it's not the best move right now. Mr. Stackhouse has served on the board for a while now. I think he's deserving to move to a full-time position. I do believe he's got the experience as well. I think it's important that we recognize this. I did pass him up before, but I'm not now. So I would ask that the board consider that. I know his application isn't in the backup, and I believe some of you may know him or some of you may not. But he's a pretty strong individual that we have on our board here. And I do think it would be a bummer to see him passed up another time. So I would ask that you consider or reconsider him being a full-time position and then appointing a new alternate position. But with the way it's currently stands, I can't support this one.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other commission comments? Yeah, let me just say, I value all the volunteers that we have. Ms. Gregory's been on there relentlessly for even since before I was a commissioner. Her interests have changed a bit. The Public Art Committee has certainly accelerated its efforts and broadened its horizons. We're going to be hearing some good things from them with an annual report and some other projects that they've got coming down the line. I don't particularly think, I know Mr. Graham Jones is a very talented individual, and he does help us with our performing arts programs quite a bit. So he's not on a board, but nevertheless, he's there volunteering many times. I see him at these events, whether it's a commemoration or, for example, Ms. Indianas's play that she had at the Cultural Center. So I think all of these individuals contribute a great deal to the city, and I'd be happy to have Mr. Jones become a member of the Public Art Committee as well. So are there no other comments? May I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
No.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. The next item is appointment to the Budget Advisory Committee. This one is to, what I'd like to do here, I think it'd be too difficult, too challenging to try and do all 3 at the same time. So what I'd like to do is do the regular member first and ask the commission who their preference would be from the list below as far as a regular member for the Budget Advisory Committee. I'd like to start again by seniority, Vice Mayor Lunt.
I'd like to appoint Melody Engel as a regular member. Do you not want me to fill up second and third, or do you want to leave that?
That would be Ms. Engel.
Did you not want to do
No,
the
no, just
second?
the regular member.
Just the regular member?
Yes,
Melody Engel.
Okay. Commissioner Carr.
Yeah, mine would be the same.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Eisner?
The same.
Commissioner Kulyar?
I agree.
Okay, I agree with that as well. I'd like to have a motion to appoint Ms. Engel as a regular member of the,
So moved.
Second.
okay, are there any public comments? Any commission comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. I think now that we've got Ms. Engel on the board and we've got Mr. Embellis on the board, I don't know that there's much of a discussion. There's only two left on the list. That would be Ms. Major and Ms. Howard. So unless a commissioner objects to either one of those, I'd like to go to public comments on this. Any comments on either appointing Ms. Major or Ms. Howard to the Budget Advisory Committee? Okay, none. May I have a motion then to appoint Ms. Joanne Major and Ms. Christine Howard as alternate number 1 and number 2 to the Budget Advisory Committee?
Motion to approve, or I'm sorry, motion to appoint Ms. Major and Ms. Howard as alternate number 1 and alternate number 2 on the Budget Advisory Committee with terms expiring March 17th, 2025.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second, okay. Any commission comments concerning that?
Quick comment, Mayor, is it's great to have individuals who want to volunteer for these boards, and we have willing citizens. So thank you to them.
Yeah, thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay, the last appointee is the, to the Code Enforcement Board. We have either A or B as far as a choice, and this would be to move Dr. Michael Matea, alternate number 2, to fill the unexpired vacancy of Mr. Stamus, or the other one would be to select from the list below, which has one person, Ms. Eisner, to serve as a regular member of the Code Enforcement Board. Now, I know, well, let's see how this plays out first, then we'll go to another matter. Let me just go down by seniority. Again, Vice Mayor Lunt, do you have a preference between either A or B?
Yeah, my preference would be A.
A, and that would be to fill the, Dr. Matea would be the regular member, and then I believe Ms. Jacobs, Ms. Eisner would become the alternate?
Alternate 1, yes.
Okay, all righty. Commissioner Carr?
Yeah, I support that.
Thank you. Commissioner Eisner?
I also support that.
Okay.
I support it as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Kulyar. Same here, so that's an easy one. Are there any public comments on this item? Ms. Eisner's waving her hand. All right, any commission, may I have a motion then to appoint Dr. Matea as the regular member to fill the vacancy of the unexpired term of Mr. Stamus, and to appoint Ms. Eisner as the alternate member to the Code Enforcement Board?
Dr. Mateo from alternate position to full-time member, and to appoint Linda Eisner as a alternate.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. All right. Any commission comments? And I just need to ask, Commissioner, for the record, Commissioner Eisner, you did check this out with the city attorney, is that correct?
I did not.
Oh, well, yeah, then
Is there any issue there?
There is no issue appointing Ms. Eisner to the Code Enforcement Board. It's not a conflict.
There is no gain that, monetary gain or any other than hard work, so.
It's not prohibited by the statute, and it's not prohibited by the code.
And I wanted to mention this, I'd already gone through this with Ms. Jacobs earlier today, but for the record and anybody that's watching, that they, how do this happen? There is a distinction. There is absolutely no gain, and all we're getting is some hard work out of Ms. Eisner, so at no charge. No other comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay. Unless somebody sees something different, that completes the agenda.
In record time.
No? Let's go to board and staff comments. Are there any staff comments? Let me just start with the police chief.
No comment, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Jacobs.
I have no comments, thank you.
City Attorney Trask.
No comments tonight, thank you.
City Manager LaCourse.
Yes, I have a few. The
Go
first
ahead.
one is about a scheduling issue with the May 3rd. We have a work session for the strategic plan. There's been a request to possibly move that meeting from 6:30 to 7. We checked with our consultants that we've hired. It's only an hour-and-a-half meeting that night for the new board and stuff, so it still gets us out at 8:30. But I wanted to bring to you and to give me authority to change that to 7 o'clock for that meeting on the 3rd. The consultant facilitates that meeting, right? Yes, and this one's at City Hall. We had another one we talked about, but there's a problem with the second meeting because it's probably going to be over 3 hours, and it's going to be in a college, so we have a problem with changing that time. But for this meeting, which is in our auditorium and only estimated to be an hour and a half, it's still, we're out of here at 8:30, and there's really and the consultant, no issue with that starting at 7 o'clock. So if it's okay with the board, I'll make that change.
Does anyone have an objection? None. Okay, go ahead. You're okay.
Okay. The second thing is with your permission, I want to test next meeting, although we won't have the rules of procedure approved. I want to test our Zoom phone call-in mechanism. We want to crank it back up from before, so we want to work out any kinks before you, so we want to test it and go live with it. Also, we want to attempt to go Facebook Live on the 10th, so we want to try that. I know it's before we vote on stuff, but we want to see if there's any kinks reinstituting the old system. So with your permission, I'm going to do that. We'll advertise that as a test where we're doing that and going forward with it, and then obviously if it's voted up, we'll keep it. But I'd like to do that before we actually vote to start a meeting. Suzanne is ready to do that test. She told me the capability of Facebook Live, and we haven't done that before, so we want to try that for the 10th. So if there's no objection, we'd like to do that for the next meeting.
These will be bona fide comments, right? Not just practice comments. I mean, anyone that's got a genuine comment to make can.
Yes, that's how we test it. You'd be able to go in on that. We want to test it to make sure there's no kinks before you vote on it.
And I'm sure you already know the answer to this question. That'll be advertised in our agenda, and we'll put the word out different ways.
Yes, because we want to advertise procedures, the method, to see if there's any issues with, which we don't think there's going to be, but we want to test that out. And that just gets us to a conclusion faster if we do it if we do it the 10th.
Thank you. City Attorney Trask, I know there's a way that we can accommodate changing our rules of procedure on the fly, if you will, on this particular one.
So the answer is that you have a resolution, and you can change the resolution from meeting to meeting, but I have to have a resolution prepared for you to do that. I don't think that the city manager is asking for you to change your rules. He's just basically saying we're going to test this option for you. So we don't need to do anything with regard to the resolution. It will come back to you, obviously, with whatever changes that you're suggesting. But I don't see there would be an issue with you as the mayor allowing that to happen.
I have that ability.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That answers your question.
Yeah. The next thing is, I was asked, again, As we've seen with this meeting, we had a very good process for our first meeting of getting questions and a lot of things done and answered before the meeting. Obviously, with the time, we're looking at way ahead of time. We did a good job with this. One question came up about when there's questions from board members, how I relay those messages so that all the board knows them. And just a little bit in the past, obviously, I let you know today when we had a document that was said was in the agenda left out, we notified you the document. Usually I contact you, all the commissioners, if several of you ask the same question, more than one asks the same question, I usually send that question out. Some of the other ones, routine questions, I don't send that to everybody if I don't hear anything else, but and again, but that's something, we got a new board. Again, the process worked great with the asking questions, but I wanted to kind of get the feel from the board on questions that you asked about the agenda and what you want me to do to get if I answer you individually, to get the answers, under what conditions, the answers to the rest of the board.
I think if it's informational, and Mr. Trask, you can weigh in on this as well, I don't see that that's an issue.
No, it's not an issue. I just want to make sure that nobody replies to it. So there would be a no reply all that would probably be good to attach to each one of those emails so that you're not seeing what each other has to say about it if you have a comment. Just respond to the city manager only if you have a comment.
Mark, would you prefer if I catch errors in the backup material that I notify you, or do it here?
We can get it changed, put it on the agenda, change it in the agenda, and have that new agenda before you at the meeting, if you do that. So.
If it's easy enough, like, for example, I don't read them contiguously. There's a lot of material to read, but like that consent decree tonight I caught that at 5:50.
Yeah, a lot of times that happens at the end. So, but if it does, that's the reason we changed the one about the amounts that was mistaken. That was caught by another commission though, and that's why I think I gotta go back and make sure it went out, because I thought I sent that out. But that's one thing.
It's on the backup now, but I didn't see any correction sent to me. But that's all right.
So your preference would be to be notified ahead of time if feasible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, some commissioners have asked simple questions, and well, you don't need to share that with the whole board. So I just want to get if you ask one, how to share it, because it may be an answer. The question may be an answer for another board member. So.
I've exercised your judgment. I mean, I've never had a problem with that.
I'm just talking about when I notice actual contractual errors as opposed to something else.
Right.
Any other objections or comments concerning that? Okay. City Manager, of course, anything else?
Just the last thing, as I mentioned before, although it's a long way to go, we did correct the message on the radio station, so there's an update, accurate, small message. It's a big project for down the road, but at least there's not the old antiquated message on the radio station. I thank the fire chief and our IT for getting that. She sent me the recording like about 5:45 today of the changed message on there. So that's a start for now. It directs to the city, the numbers of the city, and how to get in touch with the city. But that's something that is a future down the road with all the projects we got. That's something down the road to look at. But that message has been fixed. That was brought up by Mr. Delakis at the last meeting. And that's all I have.
Thank you for doing that. Vice Mayor Lunt, do you have anything?
I just want to say I'm really pleased at how fast this is moving along and the kind of consensus we're seeing here. So that's very good. I don't really have much more to say. This has been smooth. I like it. Good. Okay. Let's get going with the policies.
Commissioner Carr.
Yeah, as we're heading toward the budget season, I did send something to the city manager asking if we could put some type of line in this year's budget. The band is going to the Macy's Days Parade this year. I think it's free advertisement for the city. I think it's an opportunity for the city to show their support to the band in Tarpon Springs High School, to give them a little bit of money, not a significant amount, but I mean a few $1,000s to help with that fundraising effort. I think that would go a long way for the students.
Are there any objections to doing that? Thank you. Commissioner Eisner.
I just wanted to bring up a couple of things from some of the public hearing that we had. I tended to agree that we should be protecting somewhat the trees at Craig Park. I don't want to, I understand kids want to swing on things and do what they have to do, but we should be trying to protect that park. It is a historical park. I also would like to see if we can possibly do some sort of a senior discount for Tarpon residents, per se, for the golfing and whatnot, if we can. I know the increases have to go along with everything else that's been increased throughout the inflation that we've been going through, but I do feel for the people that are on a fixed budget. So if it's something we can do to make it unique so they can still enjoy, I would like to see that. I would like to move the public speaking to the pulpit, if that's okay with the board. I would like to continue to do what we did during COVID, which was rereading all emails. I'm a firm believer that people need to have their voices heard. I stood for that in my election, and I will continue that. And last but not least, I want to thank the city manager for proposing that we ask these questions prior to this meeting. It moved it along just amazing. So it looks to the public like we may not have asked certain questions or we weren't interested in, but I want the public to know that we asked these questions prior and got the answers. But also, we need to have a way to have those answers, since they're not being discussed in public, that the whole board gets it and gets the answers to those questions. And I'm not talking about simple things, but important things that pertain. I don't know how we can get that out, though, to the public. And I guess we would have to have some sort of mechanism to be able to have those questions posed and the answers put out in either the next agenda item or some follow-up, just so that we have the answers. And I would like to also consider down the road an incremental type bonus system for people that are going over and beyond the call of duty. Just a case in point, every street I turn down, I seem to run into Beth Hughes. And I mean, the woman seems to be the Energizer Bunny. And I'm not saying anything about that right now, but we do have to value our employees and make sure that they know that we appreciate them. So that's something I'd like to have the board consider as well. And just, I want to thank all your department heads. They all gave me very good answers. Is nothing better than to hear that you asked a good question, and that's exactly what they're working on now. So it was very enlightening, and I really appreciate finishing up early. So thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Kulyas.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the city manager for being able to try the Facebook Live, just to stream it on the internet. I just believe more exposure, the better. Just more people watching our government, just seeing what's going on, I think over time can get people to engage more. I was over at the cemetery over the weekend, and the Long Crypt area is a very special area. And I know it's, there's certain rules to it about how to dress up the Long Crypts. I would ask if there's a way to review the rules, as I believe there's only 2 items that can be stuck onto the Long Crypt. If we can review them to have families be able to honor their loved ones a little bit more, but obviously keep it as clean as possible. And one of the issues I ran on during the campaign trail was possibly reviewing moving code enforcement meetings to the evening to give those residents a chance to speak on those items. It's, I believe, the only board in which the process, our city reaches out to the property owners to address certain violations, as opposed to other boards where the residents or business owners are approaching the city asking for planning and zoning, board of adjustments. So I just want to give these citizens an ample chance in the evening. Sometimes 2 o'clock during the middle of the day is difficult for those residents, and I'd like this board to be able to review possibly moving those to the evening. Code enforcement. Thank you.
All right, my turn. First of all, we're all going to make, I don't want to call them mistakes, but oversights. You see me, Mr. Trask catches me. I have absolutely no problem being corrected. I'm not going to get it 100% right. I know commissioners don't get things 100% right. The residents always get it right. So, in the same way with the staff, they don't always get it right with the reports as well. So I think what we need to do is continue working together as we have been. There are no gotcha moments, and there's always a reason why something is this way or that way, and there's very few things that you're going to find or new that you're going to think about that have been thought about before. And in that regard, I would always ask you to communicate with the city manager. He's been here a long time, and the appropriate staff to get a little history lesson on why some things are the way they are and why they're not. When it comes to things that you would like to do for the employees, there's absolutely no doubt that everyone appreciates the hard work, and certainly during COVID, between the fire department, the police department, the IT department, they all went way beyond the call of what they would normally be asked to do. And so they all work hard, and I would leave it up to the city manager, and if you want to pursue talking to him about it, do as you do with asking questions on some of these items, and he can give you answers I have, and he can share with you some of the challenges he has with some of the things that you've brought up. Same thing with the cemetery. If you've got some ideas of cemetery, speak to the city manager about it. The code enforcement board being in the evenings, there may be some logistics issues. That's another one. I'm sure that's been thought of before, maybe not, but at least let's get these details fleshed out at the staff level before we bring them back, and I think that's the way we want to do it. In the next rules regarding reading of emails into the record, I know the city manager and the city clerk have been working on a process for doing that as well. So I know that's going to be accommodated as well, reading the emails into the record. Also, with regard to the rest of the items that were mentioned tonight, they're all good ideas. I'm very proud of this commission so far. We've worked on keeping our time down, and quite frankly, I think I'm overdoing it tonight with my comments. So that's all I've got to say. If there's nothing else, meeting adjourned at 8:37.